Let's take a minute and think. Is your life going exactly how you pictured it to go? Let's say your life is a boat out on the vast ocean. Would you say that you're steering this boat to a desired location? Or are you just floating along, leaving the destination up to chance and the wind and the current? If you have a compass and a set destination, then congratulations. You have a purpose. Or if not, at least a path that you want to take. For the rest of you, I feel you. For most of my life, my boat's been kind of on autopilot. But from time to time, my ego will grab the wheel and course correct. All depending on how I'm feeling or who upset me at the time. I felt like I was naturally talented and intelligent, so I never really felt the need to try very hard, not as much as I needed to. My first year of high school went considerably smooth, achieving near honor roll grades in all of my classes. I had a real drive to do well. Then, during the fall season of grade 10, I was 15 years old. I sustained a severe brain injury while riding my mountain bike. The doctors were considering that I may need surgery to help relieve the swelling, but luckily that it wasn't necessary. Swelling went down on its own. I don't remember much, but apparently I was in pretty rough shape for a while. I ended up healing and recovering from this incident, but not fully. Brain injuries can significantly impact cognitive abilities, leading to difficulties with attention, memory, reasoning, problem solving, decision making, and overall processing. I slowly started to decline in school and had more difficulties managing my emotions. My ability to stay focused went downhill, and I decided that school was now the last place I wanted to be. I was skipping class a bit, then I got my driver's license and was skipping class a lot. My focus was more on partying and girls. By the age of 18, I had impregnated my girlfriend, and we agreed to give him up for adoption because we were teenagers. I accepted no responsibility for this. She was the strong, responsible one that endured all the pain. I was just a scared little boy that evaded the responsibility, but would suffer the pain later in life. Not long after, I lost my license from drinking and driving and dropped out of school because of the humiliation I felt. This didn't slow down my drinking though. The only thing that would do that was the lack of money. I got in trouble with the law multiple times. Same thing, from the bottle. I was about 21 when I realized that enough was enough and I wanted more out of life. I wrote and passed the GED. I felt I should get a high school diploma to open more doors professionally and help with my confidence, which was struggling. As you could probably imagine, I was quite insecure. I also started working out at the gym with the mindset at the time to get healthy. But I was just aiding my insecurities by putting muscle on to look more intimidating. So, to me, my next obvious move, take some steroids. My plan was to try and forget about the scared little boy I was on the inside and create a beast of a persona that I hoped no one would want to mess with. On the outside, I probably appeared to be confident and that everything was going for me. But on the inside, I really disliked who I was. I was a real dick sometimes, thinking I was being funny and macho, hurting people's feelings to attempt to make myself feel better about myself. Deep down, I had a lot of hate in me because of the identity I chose at the time. I remember when I was younger, I had Lamborghini and Ferrari posters on my walls. And I asked my mom what I needed to do to get one of these. She told me that I need to go get a good job, like a doctor or a dentist. Okay, how do I do that? You just need to go to university for 7 years. 7 years? It's very expensive, she says. We're talking like the price of a house, 250 grand plus. And that was back then. Well, I remember feeling that dream feel as achievable as winning the lottery, which was ultimately my new goal. This was the earliest memory of the start of my limited belief system. My limited belief system caused me to believe that money was not abundant and that I had to work many hours with a decent wage to accumulate it. I remember when I found out that I didn't need to save money either, because once I built a bit of a credit rating, I could just borrow the money for whatever I wanted. Yep, I got myself into some trouble with that mindset. The more I got paid, the more I would borrow to live that life I wanted other people to see me live. I continued to let alcohol guide my life a lot of the time. I was a weekend warrior. I felt like I balanced my work life quite well and didn't really think it was getting in the way of my goals. At 23, I landed my first respectful career at the government-owned power company in my home province. My identity now was to be the hardest working employee there and climb the corporate ladder right to the top. I had all the drive and I was hungry to progress. I aimed to take all the personal development courses I was allowed to take, as long as they were paying me to take them. I did absolutely nothing to improve myself outside of working hours, other than some steroid-fueled gym time to help me aesthetically. I grew to feel a sense of entitlement, like most do when working in a union environment. My work ethic helped me progress up the ladder with the goal to be a construction foreman. I had a rare and unique ability to lead a team because I've always practiced what I've learned in all the courses I took. Mainly the trait of leading by example and building my critical thinking skills. I learned that the skills I had didn't exactly bring me the value that I perceived I had. The skill that I was lacking was the ability to actively communicate with management and other authority figures. We all know the saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I developed this buzzing anxiety shortly after incorporating hard drugs into my weekend activities, like cocaine, MDMA, ecstasy, just whatever I could get my hands on at the party at the time. The anxiety crept up on me fast and really hindered my communication skills. I remember spending so much time rehearsing what I was going to say to whoever I was going to talk to in my head. And then when it came time to actually talk to them, I would lock up and just get tense. My favorite thing to do was to have verbal altercations with people in my head, thinking of the perfect burn to zing them with. At this point, I felt more comfortable to avoid face-to-face conversations. This led me to more drinking and drugs, which then introduced me to the dark clouds of depression. This translated to a lot of sick days, a lot of them. I remember just laying in bed all day, sometimes in tears, just feeling sick. After about 10 years, I felt like I had reached the pinnacle of my career. My life temporarily lit up after the birth of my first son. He made me so happy. But it didn't take long before the dark clouds came rolling back in. I felt like all the negativity in my life was happening to me and not because of me. Since I felt like it was the company's fault for my progression halt, I felt entitled to use the company fuel card for my personal use. And of course they found out, and I was later terminated. Not only did I lose my job that I was so respected for, I lost my identity. My union rep suggested for me to use the addiction and a depression as a reason to stay, but I would be at a demoted position. I was far too humiliated. Instead, I decided that my son and his mother and I would move to Alberta so that I didn't have to see anybody I knew. Needless to say, I've put my parents through a bit of stress over the years, but they never stopped loving me. I love them for this. It was a breath of fresh air to move out there, and I had some of the best moments of my life so far. I realized, though, that I can't just run away from my problems and beliefs. They were still there, back in my subconscious. I worked at several different places, thinking that I would find my place sooner or later, but that was just an illusion. I was in the pursuit of happiness. My belief was that if I found the right job, bought the right house, drove the right truck, and owned all the right toys, happiness would surely follow. During the infamous COVID pandemic, our second son was born. He was born 2 months premature and really scared us. He's our little miracle. The bond that I built with this kid was unbelievable. He made me rethink the man that I wanted to be. This event, along with the loss of a good friend to an overdose, brought my drug addiction to a screeching halt. Working out was no longer about aesthetics. My goal now was to get healthy and stay that way. But I still had a long road ahead of myself. My mental health still suffered, but I was gifted by a vision. The vision of the ideal self that I was going to strive for. This ideal self was physically and mentally fit, caring and compassionate to everyone I encountered, and all around successful. My boy's mom and I grew apart, both of us having our own issues in our minds. We later agreed that it was time to separate, like a lot of couples did over the pandemic. I was both hopeful and fearful from this decision. To truly heal the wounds that I had inside of me, I knew that I needed some time alone to rebuild myself. After 3 years in beautiful Alberta, we decided to sell the house and move back to Manitoba, to separate homes. There was always this quiet voice inside of me that told me that I was going to do something great with myself. With a positive mindset, everything appeared to be falling into place so organically. With the start of a great new job, leading a crew again, and finding the perfect house in the perfect neighborhood. But once the novelty of the new everything wore off, the realization set in that I was a single dad and life was going to be very different. I worked pretty long hours and was away from home a lot of the time. So I only got to see my boys every second weekend. The negative thoughts bombarded me. What did I do to my life? What kind of relationship am I going to have with my boys? I'm failing them. I know it. I had many thoughts of ending my life to stop the pain. But whenever I did, their beautiful faces popped up in my head, and I couldn't imagine putting them through the pain of losing their dad. This was my rock bottom. I wasn't going out like this. I started to develop this new light inside of me, this drive to educate myself and be that ideal self that I envisioned when I was in Alberta. I isolated myself from everyone and started working on myself. Human psychology and consciousness became my ultimate focus, and I wanted to learn more. With the endless resources on the internet, I dove in and I was hooked. I learned about the law of attraction, and according to quantum mechanics, everything at an atomic level vibrates. The different emotions we feel cause us to vibrate at certain frequencies. Scientists have recorded these frequencies. This chart shows the coinciding emotions to the frequencies. With this being said, like frequencies are attracted to each other, and they create a phenomena called resonance, where their vibrations amplify each other, essentially pulling them closer together. Think of two or more singers singing in perfect harmony and how good that feels. This made so much sense to me, since all those negative emotions I felt seemed to just attract more negativity to my life. This was a no-brainer to me. I need to raise my vibration. Be more positive. I read a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. He talks about how your thoughts create the reality you experience. This is also known as your paradigm. Doubt and fear are crippling emotions that have no service to anyone. They just keep you in the rut of the familiar. If you truly want to evade this rut, known as the comfort zone, you need to step away from familiar and into the unknown. Educate yourself. No one has a good enough excuse not to do that. Get used to being uncomfortable. Comfort all the time is a recipe for disease. Jim Quick, also known as the boy with the broken brain, wrote a book called Limitless. He talked about a brain injury that he suffered when he was a young boy that hindered his ability to focus and learn. So he developed a system to help with his ability to retain information and learn more effectively. I highly recommend this read and to apply these teachings to your own life, as I did. Our brain is like a muscle and can be trained to operate more efficiently. When you learn something new, you create new neurons. These are cells in your brain, and when you apply this new knowledge or teach it to someone else, these neurons get wired right into your brain. This is referred to neuroplasticity. You can literally rebuild your brain any way you want. Same way you build your body when you weight train. I understand how hard it is to focus on what you need to do, so I invite you to watch another video of mine, 5 Proven Methods to Clear Your Mind. I talk about the importance of meditation and the practice of intended focus. We will dive deeper into meditation and spirituality because there is way too much scientific data on this to turn a blind eye to. Success and freedom aren't achieved solely by the abundance of money and belongings. It comes from having a clear mind and the ability to control your thoughts. If you can guide your thoughts, you can guide your life, wherever you want that lifeboat to go. We can all stop being a victim of circumstances and our past, and instead live in the moment and appreciate the beauty of our lives. We all have things to be grateful for, and gratitude is one of the highest frequencies. Practice this and see what happens. We have the power to guide our children towards positivity and a quality life. I'm not just going to tell my boys how they should live their lives. I'm going to fucking show them. I hope you enjoyed this video and got something from it. I had some heartwarming comments from my last videos, and I tell you, that fired me the fuck up. So you're going to keep seeing me. Please help my cause by liking, sharing, and subscribing. And of course, I love the comments. And I love all you. Thank you.